Our world is built on names. They're everywhere, woven so deeply into the fabric of our lives that we barely notice them. But have you ever been scrolling, just mindlessly swiping through a sea of familiar icons and paused for a second? A real pause. And in that moment, have you ever truly considered the names behind those logos? They're more than just labels, they're verbs, they're destinations, they're a part of our daily vocabulary. We don't search for information, we Google it. We don't call a car, we get an Uber. These names are so ingrained in our culture that it's almost impossible to imagine them being anything else. But what if they were? What if in an alternate timeline, you told a friend to BACKRUB it? Or what if that package on your doorstep wasn't from Amazon, but from a company with a far more aggressive, almost ominous name? RELENTLESS.com? It sounds absurd, almost like a joke. But these weren't just fleeting thoughts. They were serious contenders, names that were inches away from becoming global phenomena. Welcome to the hidden world of branding, where a single word can be the difference between a billion-dollar empire and a forgotten failure. A name is the first handshake, the first promise a company makes to you. It's a delicate blend of psychology, linguistics, and pure, unadulterated marketing genius. The right name can evoke trust, excitement, and loyalty. It can be catchy, memorable, and easy to say. The wrong name? The wrong name can be a death sentence. It can be confusing, forgettable, or worse, carry unintended meanings that sink a product before it ever has a chance to float. Companies spend millions, sometimes tens of millions of dollars, employing entire armies of creatives, linguists, and lawyers, all dedicated to the monumental task of finding that one perfect word. But what happens when that perfect word isn't so perfect? What about the names that were left on the cutting room floor? That's where the real stories are. This isn't just a history of branding, it's an alternate history. We're about to enter a world of boardroom battles fought over a single syllable, of creative sparks that came in the middle of the night, and of legal threats that forced a complete identity change at the 11th hour. We'll uncover the happy accidents, the stubborn founders who refused to listen to advice, and the last-minute compromises that would go on to define generations. These are the stories that brands don't always want you to know. Today, we're diving deep into the classified files of 6 iconic brands that were nearly known by something completely different. We'll explore how a legendary tech company almost shared its name with a character from Moby Dick. We'll reveal the story of a global coffee chain that was nearly named after a whaling ship. You'll learn which world-famous sportswear brand was almost called Dimension 6, a name chosen by its founder that everyone else hated. From social media giants to fast food chains, we'll dissect the fascinating, often chaotic, and sometimes hilarious stories behind their chosen names, and the ones they thankfully abandoned. So, get ready to have your perception of the brands you love completely shattered. Prepare to learn the tales of creative genius, corporate espionage, and pure dumb luck that shaped our modern world. By the end of this, you'll never look at a simple logo or a familiar name the same way again. The secret history of branding is about to be revealed. Let's get started. Let's begin with the Big G Google, but to understand its iconic name, we have to travel back to the mid-1990s, to the burgeoning heart of Silicon Valley, Stanford University. The internet was a wild, untamed frontier, a chaotic digital library with no card catalog. Finding anything was a frustrating exercise. Existing search engines of the era were rudimentary, ranking pages based on how many times a search term appeared, a system that was laughably easy to manipulate. Amidst this digital noise, 2 brilliant PhD students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, had a revolutionary idea. They weren't just building another search engine, they were developing a new philosophy for navigating the web. Their project, running on a motley collection of borrowed and cheap computers crammed into their dorm room, was based on a concept they called PageRank. The innovation was simple yet profound. A web page's importance could be determined by the number and quality of other pages linking it. They were, in essence, analyzing the web's backlinks. This core function gave their fledgling search engine its first and decidedly less glamorous name, BACKRUB. Yes, BACKRUB. While technically descriptive, the name lacked a certain gravitas. It sounded more like a massage parlor's new service than a tool poised to change the world. For a year, the project lived under this awkward moniker, a quirky footnote in tech history, but Page and Brin knew that if their creation was to break out of the academic world, it needed a name that matched its colossal ambition. The pivotal moment came during a brainstorming session in 1997. Joined by fellow graduate student Sean Anderson, they tossed around ideas. They needed something that conveyed immensity. the ability to process a near infinite amount of information. The name that rose to the top was Google. A Google is the digit one followed by 100 zeros, a mind-bogglingly large number. The term itself has a charming origin, coined in 1920 by Milton Serrata, the 9-year-old nephew of American mathematician Edward Kasner. It was perfect, it was mathematical, it was grand in scale, and it perfectly encapsulated their mission to organize the entire world's information. The decision was made. Their project would be reborn as Google, or so they thought. History is often shaped by happy accidents, and this is one of the most legendary in corporate history. The story goes that Sean Anderson, tasked with checking if the domain name google.com was available, made a fateful spelling error. Instead of typing G-O-O-G-O-L, he typed G-O-O-G-L-E. He hit search, and the domain was available. When he presented the result, Larry Page didn't see a mistake. He saw something better. Google was catchy, it was unique, and it rolled off the tongue more easily than its numerically correct predecessor. It felt friendly and accessible. On September 15, 1997, they registered google.com, cementing a typo into the bedrock of the internet. It was a quirky yet genius choice that changed everything. From BACKRUB, a name grounded in technical jargon, to Google, a name celebrating mathematical scale, to Google, a name born from a simple slip of the fingers. This final name proved to be the most powerful. It was so simple and so ubiquitous that it transcended being a noun and became a verb, seamlessly integrating into our global vocabulary. Can you imagine telling a friend to backrub it? The name change wasn't just a cosmetic rebranding. It was the crucial final ingredient that transformed a brilliant academic project into a global phenomenon. A brand that would not only organize the world's information, but fundamentally redefine our relationship with it. Next up, Nike, the swoosh brand. Founded in 1964 as Blue Ribbon Sports, supplying running shoes. It wasn't until 1971 that they rebranded to Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. That same year, student Carolyn Davidson designed the iconic swoosh for just $35. She was later given 500 shares of Nike stock, design, symbolism, and a little math. Imagine entering RELENTLESS.com to shop for books. That's how Amazon started in Jeff Bezos' mind. He loved the name so much that the URL today still redirects. Other contenders like Cadabra fell flat, or worse, got mistaken for cadaver. So Bezos went with Amazon, evoking the vastness of Earth's largest river and getting that all-important A alphabetical boost. A flash forward to New York in the early 70s, Leonard Marsh launched a juice brand called Unadulterated Food Products. Then came a fateful batch of apple soda that exploded its lids. They coined Snapple, a catchy blend of snappy and apple. Similarly, UK's Opal Fruits became Starburst in the US in 1967, riding the space race cool. In 1859, chemist Robert Cheesebro noticed oil workers using a gooey byproduct, rod wax, to heal their injuries. He refined this substance and initially marketed it as Wonder Jelly. But by 1872, it was rebranded to the more memorable name Vaseline, from German Wasser, water, and Greek oleon, oil. So we've journeyed through a fascinating graveyard of forgotten names and a hall of fame for branding brilliance. We've seen how a simple name change can be the pivotal moment that catapults a company from a niche idea into a global phenomenon. The stories we've uncovered show that the path to a perfect name is rarely a straight line. It's a winding road filled with happy accidents, near misses, legal pressures, and moments of pure, unadulterated genius. For every Google, there was a BACKRUB, a name that perfectly described its function but lacked the spark of a world-changing idea. For every Nike, there was a Blue Ribbon Sports, a functional placeholder waiting for a goddess of victory to lend her name. These aren't just trivia, they are crucial chapters in the biography of a business, revealing the initial vision, the growing pains, and the ultimate ambition of their creators. The reasons for these transformations are as diverse as the brands themselves. Sometimes it's about practicality. A name like Tokyo Tsushin Kogyo is a mouthful, and Sony is sleek, memorable, and works in any language, a vital trait for a company with global aspirations. Other times, a change is forced by external pressures. Legal battles over trademarks have sent many marketing teams scrambling back to the drawing board. And then there's the most compelling reason of all, evolution. A brand outgrows its original name. Computing, tabulating, recording company was fine for a business selling scales and punch card machines, but it could never contain the technological titan that IBM would become. The name had to evolve to match the company's boundless future. It takes immense courage to shed an established identity, to risk confusing your customers in the hope of connecting with them on a deeper, more resonant level. It's a high-stakes gamble that, when it pays off, redefines not just the company, but the industry itself. What's truly captivating is the human element behind these corporate decisions. These names give us a window into the minds of the founders. Jeff Bezos' initial choice of Relentless for his online bookstore tells you everything you need to know about his drive and ambition from day one. In fact, if you type relentless.com into your browser even today, it still redirects you to Amazon, a permanent digital Easter egg nodding to the company's core philosophy. The story of Phil Knight nearly choosing Dimension 6 for Nike is a legendary tale of how close they came to a completely different fate, saved by a dream about a Greek goddess. From BACKRUB to Relentless, Opal Fruits to Wonder Jelly, these original names aren't mistakes. They are historical artifacts. They hold the initial spark, the raw, unfiltered idea before it was polished, packaged, and presented to the world. They remind us that every giant corporation started as a dream in someone's garage, basement, or dorm room. Ultimately, a name is a vessel. It's the company's actions, its products, and its connection with us, the consumers, that fill that vessel with meaning. But the right name can make all the difference. It can turn a product into a story and a company into a legacy. So now I turn the question over to you. Which brand's original name surprised you the most? Was there a story we missed that you think the world needs to hear? And here's a challenge. If you had to rename a famous brand today, what would it be and what would you call it? Let us know in the comments below. Your ideas and stories are what make this community so incredible. If you enjoyed this deep dive into branding history, show your support by hitting that like button, subscribe for more, and ring that notification bell. That way you won't miss our next exploration into the fascinating stories behind the world you thought you knew. Please comment, share, and subscribe to Next Verse, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you.